Episode 9, Party Foul. It will strike 3 a.m. in just a few minutes, which is when the witching hour officially begins. It's also the time I'm expected to arrive at the shindig. Thankfully, I'm used to working the third shift. Death doesn't exactly operate on anybody's earthly clock other than its own. A soul chaperone needs to be on call 24/7, 365 days a year. So, 2 scoops of Kangamangas Crunch and an extra large iced coffee later, and I'm churning and burning the midnight oil as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as I've ever been. If it weren't for my phone's GPS pointing me in the right direction, I never would have sniffed the general vicinity of 57 Raven Nest Lane. As it stands, I'm currently having a difficult time finding an access point onto the property through the overgrown wall of trees and underbrush that line the road. The forest is so dense around here that it gives new meaning to the term blind drive. I cruise past the address twice, self-correcting when the automated voice coming out of my smartphone decides to get smart with me and informs, in a not-so-nice tone, mind you, that I have gone too far. On my third attempt, with my mind bogged down by Germain's deceit and lies, I pull the car into a drainage ditch. I make every attempt to drive it out, but the awkward angle of the car permits physics to overwhelm the engine's minuscule horsepower. I swing the door open and move to the front, readying myself to give the compact car the push it needs for the dangling tires to clear the lip of the drainage ditch and rediscover their traction. As I lean in, my pants catch on the jagged gash in my bumper that was put there by a parking lot fender bender 6 months prior. It was totally not my fault, by the way. Again, a story for another time. I jerk my lower half away from the car to free my pants, and in the process tear a hole in my jeans along the inseam. The rip in the fabric starts at the knee and runs all the way up to the crotch. I shiver as the cool mountain air circulates through the new diffuser in my jeans and spreads out in all directions over my skin. "Is this a drinking while driving thing, a familiar voice asks, the purring of my car's idling engine dampening her Boston accent. I look up from my perforated pants to see Madam Bahkita seated behind the steering wheel of her 1967 sun-kissed Volkswagen Beetle. "Give me a little credit," I say as I step out from behind the car. The fortune teller takes one look at my dinosaur-themed boxer shorts poking out through the hole in my jeans and decides that any credit is undeserved. I was trying to find a driveway and I turned too early. Or too late. I'm still not sure. Madam Bahkita's tone turns even frostier than usual. "Whose driveway?" I reach into the car and carefully pluck the invitation from the center console. Pinched between my thumb and forefinger, I hold it up for Madam Bahkita to see. The cold front that had settled over her becomes a polar vortex. "How in the hell of hells did you get invited to tonight's party?" she asks. I smile, reveling in this unexpected under-her-skin advantage. "I'm people who knows people," I respond smugly. Madam Bahkita scoffs. "Ya weasel who knows other weasels." "Harsh, but there's no need to get your crystal balls in a bunch," I say. "I don't plan on making regular social calls to your antisocial circles. This is a one-time thing." She looks away and shakes her head disapprovingly. "A single speck of your soiled sand in my sandbox is enough to taint it forever." I ignore Madam Bahkita's dig. Instead, I work to problem-solve my way out of this torn pants predicament I have found myself in. Duct tape? Nah. Too unseemly. Cut my jeans into booty shorts? Nope, few can handle my sexual flavor. Stand perfectly still while facing the wall all night? No dice. The single has to mingle. Alas, I am already out of ideas. "There's a box inside with a change of clothes," Madam Bahkita says as she leans out of the driver's side window of her Volkswagen and waves towards the trunk. Interesting. I guess she feels bad for me. I shuffle up to the punch buggy and pop its trunk, which in this make and model is located in the front of the vehicle. Inside is a spare tire for which expenses were most certainly spared, a collection of silk scarves that would make Steven Tyler dream on, and an old box filled with shimmery fabrics. I dig through the box, expecting to find something acceptable for me to wear, but all I come across is a pair of sequined balloon pants that even MC Hammer would refuse to touch. I remove the seafoam-colored trousers from the trunk, and then slam it shut. I hold the pants out in front of my lower limbs. They're even more garish than I first thought. I feel like I'm 12 years old again, attempting to hide in the corner of the dressing room stall as my mother opens the door to hand me a pair of fresh dungarees that will surely lead to another first day of school beating from Rod the Ranger. I'm going to look like a genie in these, I say, reluctant to accept them. Madam Bahkita smiles. She doesn't feel bad for me. She's enjoying this. Someone who spends their days talking to squirrels should be used to rubbing their own lamp by now, she says as she shifts the Volkswagen into drive and hammers down on the gas pedal. The tiny car shoots forward, forcing me to leap out of the way. Real classy, I yell, waving the balloon pants in the air like a racing flag. Madam Bahkita's hand appears out of the driver's side window, her middle finger unfurled in a full extension. 10 feet up the road, the brake lights of the Volkswagen burn bright red, dazzling off of the sequins of the balloon pants and transforming the rural stretch of road into a darkened disco. I watch as Bahkita turns her car slowly to the right, entering a narrow opening between two massive red maples that act as natural guardians. That's where the driveway is, I say to myself, making a mental note of where to turn when I'm back behind the wheel of my car. I pause in the road for a moment, contemplating if it's better to show up to the party in sequins or with my dinosaur drawers showing. Well, sequins do add a certain sparkle, don't they? 10 minutes later, I'm pulling up in front of a sprawling log mansion that is 2 parts Paul Bunyan and 1 part Amityville. From all outward appearances, it's cozy, but in a seasonal serial killer sort of way. Like, I'm sure people aren't murdered here all the time, but they're definitely off by the dozens during ski season. The fact that there is a rusted old excavator sitting off to the side of the property only lends to the perception of someone needing to dig semi-regular mass graves for all of their victims. The pillars that support the overhanging roof have been carved into totems, each face a demonic visage that elicits a visceral reaction if you linger too long on their lifeless eyes. A grand and opulent dome rises above the house from the rear of the property, suggesting a second standalone structure, or at least one that connects directly to the house itself. There are only a few scattered windows on the front-facing exterior, so either most of the interior filters its sun in from another angle, or the homeowner prefers privacy over natural light. The front door has been painted jet black, and in the darkness of the night, it almost appears as a void set into the face of the house. 2 classically styled sconces bookend the entrance, but instead of being powered by electricity, these flames flicker with the old-school burning power of kerosene. Parked in the dirt-covered driveway are 4 other vehicles, including Madam Bahkita's Volkswagen, which I consider running my key down the side of. The problem with my spontaneous vandalism, though, is that her car's paint job is so faded and worn from its showroom glory days that she probably wouldn't even notice any destruction that I brought to it. I park my car and open the door, jingling as I climb out. Why? Because the brightly colored balloon pants I'm wearing are fashioned with an adornment I had not had the pleasure of identifying when I first fished them out of the trunk. There are bells, the tiny kind used in cat toys and holiday decor, sewn into the hems of the elastic banded ankles. I now jangle as I dangle with each step I take. People will not only see me coming from a mile away, but hear me as well. I walk up to the front door, my bells ringing like a Salvation Army Santa with a quota to keep. Before I can formally announce my arrival, the door opens and I wonder if the pants I'm wearing are even louder than I first thought they were. Standing opposite me is a familiar face, though the last time I set eyes on it, it was translucent. Once occupied by a soul I know mostly as a cankerous canine, this earthly vessel was born into the world as Samuel Godwin. Thank you for listening. For more information, visit thesoulchaperone.com.